All right, guys, let's jump into chapter 6-1. Make sure you have the worksheet open as we are going to go through and answer the questions. I do apologize. This is probably one of the more boring units, but we're going to get it knocked out and we're going to roll through these. So make sure you complete the worksheet in its entirety. Stop, pause, rewind as you need to. All right, so getting started, take a second, pause, and I want you guys to write down on your worksheet for the first question, what do you consider to be the most important part of a computer? Okay, maybe you don't know the parts of a computer, try to describe it, take a second, and then unpause me and we'll keep rolling. All right, so first of all, we're going to talk about hardware. When we're talking about components of a computer, you've got two main things. You've got hardware and you've got software. All right, hardware are the physical components, stuff you can touch, feel, knock on, all right, technically what you can smash and destroy. So what you need to know for hardware, that first question under the notes section, you should put hardware are the physical components of a computer. Right, meaning you can physically touch it. Now we see some examples on the slide here of hardware. First of all, you have the CPU. That's going to your second question there. The CPU stands for C, Central, P, Processing, U, Unit. Okay, Central Processing Unit. Essentially, the CPU is the brains of the computer. Okay, what you need to know is what CPU stands for and that it is the brain of the computer. Next, on the right here, you have hard drive. Now, we will talk about two different types of hard drives later on. What you need to know right now is that the hard drive is what reads and writes information. It's what holds the operating system, the programs, and all the data that your computer is going to have. So, for your hard drive, what you need to know is it's what reads and writes the information, and that it holds the OS or operating system, the programs, and stores data. Now, computers, when we're talking about computers, a lot of the stuff that we have access to now comes through the internet. There's two main different ways you can access the internet. The first way is through a wireless device that we're going to mention. So you have your internet service coming in. It comes in through a coax cable. Generally, if you've ever been into like your grandparents' house or even see what kind of plugs into the back of your modem, it kind of just has a little plug-in, a little plastic clip. All right, that is the coax cable is the one that looks like it's got a basketball needle in the back. And then from the modem runs the one with a plastic clip, and that is your Ethernet cable. And that will run straight to a router, which will then take those analog signals and send it out as wireless signals into the air, and that allows it to connect to a wireless device. So on your paper, what you need to have is from number one, coax, comes through the internet comes in through a coax cable, goes to the modem, 3, goes through that modem, through 3, the Ethernet cord, 4 to the router, and then 5, it's to the wireless device itself. So add an extra section there. Now, for the next section, how about internet going to a wired device? Well, it's just a little bit shorter. Once again, either way, it comes in through that coax cable. All right, that coax cable goes to the modem, which takes that electrical signal and turns it and sends it through the Ethernet cord, and which is useful to the wired device. So 1 coax cable, 2 modem, 3 Ethernet cord, 4 wired device there. Or how does the internet reach a wired device? All right, continuing on. All right, monitor. So one big thing about monitors, even though generally we would think that a monitor, we know it has to do with visual, but that's all it actually has to do with. A lot of guys actually use regular monitors without sound. So if you were to buy a gaming monitor, it would generally not have sound capabilities. Why? Well, because that's just one more thing to process, and it can slow down processing speed. So what you need to know, one important fact about a monitor, you want to know that it shows visual, but does not necessarily do audio. Once again, a monitor will definitely show a visual, but doesn't have to do audio. Okay? Now, we're going to talk about software. We've already talked about hardware, having the word hard in there, physical, all right, something you can feel and touch. Well, software, soft, all right, it is the non-physical components. This is stuff you can't see necessarily, you can't touch it. It's the non-physical components of a computer. All right, 3 main systems when we're talking about software. You have application programs, device drivers, and operating system. Now we're going to talk about each of those just a little bit. Application programs, this is your top layer of software. All right, Generally, you can run multiple. So if I were to grab my phone per se, and I look what is open here, all right, you can see I've got multiple apps at the same time. All right, you can run multiple at the same time. All right, but each one generally has a specific task, okay? Application or apps. Device drivers. Now, this is a specialized set of programs. So, for example, they have an exact thing. So on these computers or on my laptop, I just had like Photoshop download. Okay, it will interact, or no, that's an application. Sorry, device driver. Say we get a new computer or a new printer. Okay, new printer does not automatically work. It has to have a driver saying this is how you operate with this other piece of technology. I've got the Glowforge back here. I have to have a device driver saying, hey, if I plug in this cable, this is how it reacts to that. Okay, so it's just a set of instructions that tell it how to, or program how to interact with another piece of technology generally. Operating system. This is what ultimately runs and supports your computer. It's how things are set up. All right, operating system generally varies. And we're going to talk about different ones. You've got Mac operating system for like Apple computers, Windows. Your Chromebooks have Chrome OS. These all kind of it's the how everything is set up, how things are interacting, how things are laid out, and that's why if you look at a Mac, you're not gonna, things are gonna look differently. Okay, it's how things are displayed, seen, and interact through your operating system. All right, continue on. You are done with the first page. All right, so how is data? Data is unprocessed information. I know there it just says on this slide, information stored and processed. Well, it's unprocessed because it is going to come in. It's going to come in jumbled, and then your computer is going to take that jumbled up stuff, that jumbled up data, and from bits of information, process it, and then store it to make it useful. Okay. Now, how is data represented for a computer? Data is represented by binary, ones and zeros. Okay. How is data represented to the computer? Through binary, ones and zeros. Now, take a second, and you can do this next part on your own, but we'll go over it in a second. I want you to just write out what are bits, what's a byte, and then list those in order. Okay, I will say what a bit and a byte is, but I will leave it to you to figure it out in order and skip through that slide. So a bit is the most basic unit when talking about computing. It's the most basic unit of information when you are talking about computing. 8 bits make up a byte. So what is a byte? A byte is 8 bits. Make sure you know how to spell those and the difference there is. The order, you should be able to do that on your own. What is a bug? When we're talking about bugs, a bug is simply an error in code. And this will get more important when we get into coding, but it's going to be something that causes an error or a glitch. Generally, when you get a new phone, this is going to be something you see. You may not update your phone right away because they're going to try to figure out the bugs, and then you can update it once they fix a lot of those errors or things they don't want to happen. All right, up next, we're going to talk about an IP address. All right, an IP address is a number specifically assigned to a device on a computer network that is connected to the internet. So, for example, the display board at the front of the screen, all right, it has an IP address. It has a specific number so that if it's connected to the internet, so if we want to know what's going on with that device, where is that device located, you can look at its IP address, okay? The two main functions of an IP address are right here, is so that you can join a network interface, all right, or to host one, host or join. You have to have that identity, as well as it provides a location of who is accessing, right? IP address is generally what like a hacker or even the police department could look up if they trace something back. They're going to trace it back to an IP address because it is that number associated to a specific device that joins a network. All right, your next question there. What is considered the earliest computer by some? This is an ancient counting tool. If you don't know what it is, this is called an abacus. All right, this is what has been used for hundreds, thousands of years, and some even consider this the earliest form of a computer. Even though we're going to talk about what makes a computer, this is what some use and kind of consider one of the earliest computers by some. Now, kind of completely switching gears, we're going to talk about an early operating system, and that is Unix. Unix was created by AT&T's Bell Laboratories. I know AT&T is there, but AT&T has Bell Laboratories, which is a subsidiary, okay, which means they fall under AT&T. But Unix was created by Bell Laboratories, right? So back in the day, AT&T was still in the phone business, but back in the day, you had to plug in, all right, different cables to another. Someone would call the operator, hey, operator, I need this person. They would plug in the connecting wires, right? They needed a better way to do that. So that is where Unix came about. However, they started using that idea, and instead of being able to go big and make a ton of money with this, the federal government actually told them, nope, you can't sell it, and they started using it for different colleges, and they were kind of limited. That's why they did not blow up even more there. So who created Unix? Bell Laboratories. All right, make sure you understand that. Now, we've talked about operating systems, right? That is how your computer interacts with different things, how things are set up based on how that is. So the top three that we're going to talk about Windows 10, Mac operating system, and Chrome. All right, Chrome is what you guys use. On this computer, if I were to back out of it, this is what it looks like for a Windows operating system. All right, back in there. And then you also have Chrome, which you guys have. Okay, so make sure you know that. Now, if you want to know what operating system you can actually have, you can go in and type in the search bar, this PC or my computer, and under the properties, generally the operating system will be displayed if you're ever curious. But if you're on your Chromebook, I'll go and tell you it's Chrome OS. All right, this operating system, one of the big things that it does, it allows you to have an internet connection. All right, operating systems generally what allows you to connect to the internet. So what provides the means for a computer to connect to the internet? The answer to that is the operating system. If you want to do shorthand, OS. All right, so two things that an operating system always comes preloaded with. That is a way to connect to the internet, so an internet browser, as well as an email. Operating systems generally always come with those two items. All right, what is bloatware? Just like it sounds, when something bloats is bigger, right? If something is bigger, it's generally probably extra. You don't need that extra bit. So bloatware bloatware are extra programs that come preloaded with an operating system. If I go buy a new laptop and it comes with games preloaded or comes with an antivirus, all of those are just extra things I didn't really want but came with, right? So extra programs preloaded on a computer, that is bloatware. What do original equipment manufacturers, why do they include this bloatware? Well, they get paid to, right? So extra profit, they get paid to include these, right? The idea is, okay, antivirus software, you've added that in there, and now you've ran out where you're like, oh, wait, hold up. What if I do get a virus? And their idea is they give it to you for free for a little while, and you're going to come back and buy it, okay? So what can bloatware do to your computer? Well, the more stuff you have on your computer, the slower it's going to run, the less room it has to move around in there, okay? So what can it do? Technically, it can slow down your processing speed. So getting rid of bloatware could potentially increase the potential positive outcome of removing bloatware. It could potentially increase your computer's processing speed and free up memory. The potential negative side to removing bloatware is it could potentially void your warranties. So make sure you are aware of that before you try to do any of that. All right, so quick review. What is an operating system? An operating system is what sets up, runs, and controls how your computer functions. What are the top two operating systems? That is Mac OS and Windows 10. And who created Unix? That would be Bell Laboratories. All right, that's all you have for today. Make sure you complete your worksheet and get that submitted by the end of class.